Right, there we go. We're live. Welcome to our live stream.
Thank
Very
you.
pleased to say we have Mel with us. Hi, Mel.
Hi, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad. And
Good.
we've got Andrew with us as well.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Yeah, we were just chatting before we went live. It's crazy because for those that don't know, Mel is in Australia, so the time difference is as extreme as it could be. We've just been sat on our patio having dinner and a bottle of wine, and Mel's just got up. So it's as opposite as it can be.
Yeah, what time is it with you?
It's 6 a.m.
Blimey.
I know, right? So thank you so much for getting up early and being with us on this live
No
stream.
worries. It's my pleasure.
Let's say a few hellos quickly. We are live. If you're watching live, please pop in and say hello. Leave some comments or questions. We'll try and get to those, but it is difficult, so we may do that at the end. So a few hellos. We've got Dynastone, can't wait for the stream. Well, here we are. This will be interesting. Hi, Yorkshireman, King of Pennies. Lots of people saying hello. Megan. So a few more. Oliver, Ian, welcome. Paul, James. Has anyone sent something to GSP via courier? Assume that's okay. Yes, absolutely fine. We've sent stuff to GSP with Hermes, Royal Mail, Parcel Force, UPS, just about everyone. As long as it gets there, that's all you need to do. Right, so yes, Julie, Michael, welcome everybody. Let's scroll to the end. So for those watching who maybe haven't seen Mel's channel or know who Mel is, do you want to do a little bit of an intro about who you are and what you do?
Oh, okay. So I'm Mel. I'm from Australia, and yeah, I guess I'm fairly new to YouTube, or coming up nearly a year, I guess, about a year in July. I've been doing YouTube, so I'm still pretty new, small channel. And yeah, I just like to get on there. I do a weekly live stream where I chat about a topic, and then I also have live chats where I get in other guests, and then I also make some pre-recorded videos and try and show bits of my life and my day and how I do things, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
and how long, I mean, we're going to talk about tips and advice coming from our point of view and the mistakes we made and what we've learned as resellers. So how long have you been reselling?
I've been reselling full-time for a year, and probably reselling for a year before that, like part-time, just casually kind of. So yeah, probably coming up 2 years, close to 2 years, I would say.
Perfect. So hopefully the newbie mistakes that we all make, and perhaps the advice is fresh in your mind, because we're so long in the tooth in this game, we're forgetting half the stuff we learned years ago.
Don't make newbie mistakes anymore. We just make mistakes.
I still do, to be fair. So that's the idea. We thought we'd get together and chat about some of the things you've learned that might be fresh in your mind as a relatively new eBay reseller, and we'll chip in with some of the things we've learned over the years, and hopefully something will be useful, right?
Yep. Sounds good.
And if you want to chip in the chat with anything you learned or something that's stuck in your mind as a mistake that you really learned from that's helpful, just pop it in the chat and we'll try and get to those. So did you want to start with one, Andrea?
Oh,
yeah.
Throw me in the
I'm throwing you in the deep end. How about that?
What do you want me to start with? How are you?
I don't know. You've got a list of things.
Yeah, I know. I've just made notes. I haven't asked any questions or anything. Just made notes about. I don't know. No, you start because.
Oh, okay. All right. I've thrown Andrew in the deep end and it didn't go well.
It didn't.
One thing. Well, when we came up with this topic, the first thing that I thought of, and I think is really important, is to be prepared for posting. If you suddenly have that idea, I'm going to sell some stuff on the internet, and you list a load of stuff. I think something people don't get prepared for is posting, knowing what the rates are, knowing the different services, the sizes and the costs involved, because we tripped over ourselves and made so many mistakes in the beginning with that. So if you are new to this and you're thinking, I've got a load of stuff I'm going to sell on eBay, I'm going to try that out, research the postage and how much it's going to cost you before you list the item, so you don't get stung for way higher postage costs than you predicted, because we made mistakes. I remember selling a Harry Potter book and it was so much heavier and thicker and larger than we
Yeah.
imagined that it cost us money to give it to the buyer in the end, because the postage was that much more. So have you made mistakes like that? Or?
Definitely I've made mistakes with shipping and undercharged, and I think it's easier when you just do satchels, like flat rate satchels. And I guess over here in Australia, our postage has moved from, it used to be like satchel size, but it would go on weight, whereas now the satchels just go whatever you can fit in that satchel, up to 5 kilos, goes for the same price. So it's much easier here now to kind of, as long as you know that your item's going to fit in a satchel, it's quite easy to estimate the cost of your shipping. So it's only when you're kind of doing bulkier boxes that you're going to have more of an issue now. So back when I started, it wasn't like that, but that's how the Australia Post system has moved now. And I think that that's going to make it easier for new resellers coming in to the Australian market.
Okay. Can you explain to us, because we don't have the same thing, so what is a satchel?
Yep. So a satchel is like, I don't have one here, but it's just like a plastic post satchel, I guess.
Like a poly mailer then?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
So we've got,
you can fit in there will go, regardless of the weight.
yes, up to 5 kilos, which is a fair bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've basically got the 4 sizes. We've got like a small, a medium, a large, and then an extra large. And yeah, basically you can set your pricing. So small, we would charge $8.95, and a large, we might charge $14.95. But we can pretty much estimate what's going to fit into what size satchel. So as I'm listing, it's quite easy for me to know. It's only if it's not going to fit into a satchel. Like if I need to send it into a box and I have to do box measurements to get the weight, it's a little bit trickier. But it's definitely a learning thing, is the shipping.
Exactly. And to somebody new, that might have sounded like, that sounds really complicated, but it's a case of getting your head round of that. And it's so different here in the UK. I mean, we have, let me grab my little postal gauge thing. We have letters and large letters, and then anything beyond this is like a parcel, and then you have different sizes within that, and then it's all done on weight, which can sound like a nightmare. And when you start out, it's all gobbledygook and doesn't make sense, right? But I think it's worth sitting down for a couple of hours on in our case, the Royal Mail website, check out a couple of couriers and just understand how it works, rather than jumping in as a newbie, listing a load of stuff and guessing at the postage, because you will come unstuck. And I think that's the first advice that kind of pops in my head when I think of giving advice to newbies, is understand the postage. Yeah. Because that's half of our job really, is packing and shipping the item. That's a big part of what we do. And people... Yeah,
because you don't want to lose money on your postage, really.
No.
You want to add that on as an extra, really.
Yeah. And just to put it out there, we've been reselling since the late 90s, and we messed up badly last week. Yep,
that was my fault. I think I listed a tea set, and I think that I purchased our normal rate of postage on, with the mind to going back to change it. I forgot to, of course, it's sold, and I'd only put £3 of postage on.
So we charged £3 and it cost us £7 to ship it. We lost that chunk of profit, right?
Yeah,
and
I mean, luckily we still made a profit on it, but it reduced it quite a lot.
Do you think that, like, for really, really new sellers who are really kind of get confused about this, that they should kind of stick to, what's the word, not more basic items that, not basic, but like items that you can easily judge, like clothing or smaller items, rather than big, bulky tea sets and video players and things that are more tricky? Do you think that maybe you should, as a brand new reseller who is confused by it, that you should start and then kind of move into those more trickier items, or just launch yourself into it?
I don't know. It's a good question. I would say it's more important to be selling something you enjoy selling, no matter what it is. I think that's the key when you start out. Something you understand and you know about. But yeah, it's a good question. Should you throw yourself into shipping with couriers and doing the bulky stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, if I think there's some people who get more confused than others as new sellers, and I just think if you're one of the ones that just is totally overwhelmed and totally confused, then just start basic and just really start with things that are easy to post and easy to ship and can go into those satchels and stuff, so that you learn as you go, and as you get more comfortable, you can test new things.
Well, certainly clothing is great for shipping because you're going to struggle to break it, right?
Yeah.
And then media, which I love media, you put it in a bubble mailer and you send it, and it goes large letter, and it's easy. So from that point of view, media and clothing are great shipping wise. It's not much of a headache. So
so Dave's got a question, and I want to have a guess at it actually. So he says, what is an op shop, as in what is op shop? Is it opportunity?
Yeah, it is opportunity. So it's basically it's just Aussies, we shorten all our words, but the op shop is basically the charity shop or the thrift shop, and I tend to say thrift shop now. I think it's just being on YouTube and being on Instagram and seeing so many more people call it thrifting or got to go thrifting or thrift, and it's become, I know it sounds strange for an Australian sometimes to say that to another Australian, but it just more thrifting comes more naturally to me now than op shopping.
Yeah, thrifting wasn't really in our English language, was it? It wasn't something that we said either. So it's very much an Americanism, but we're all using it now.
We've picked it up from the Americans.
Yeah.
Captain Opshop. Mel is awesome. She is fun to watch. Find her channel and give her a follow if you're a keen reseller. There we go.
Thank you. Thanks, Toby.
The link should be below anyway, so when you get a chance, please go over and check Mel's channel out. Oh, there's somebody you'll know, Mel.
Yes. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Ian. So what are your thoughts if somebody came up to you and said, I've heard about this eBay reselling lark. Oh, we're selling stuff. Wow.
You are going off.
What's the first thing that would spring to mind that you would give as advice to somebody in your shoes a year or two back when you first started?
I think for me, it would almost be about getting things listed, because I think as a new reseller you get, and not even as a new reseller, as a reseller, we all enjoy doing the sourcing process. And I think you can get a little bit caught up in buying too much and then not getting it listed because it's overwhelming, or you don't know how to list it, or it just tends to gather. And I know that you are the type who likes to gather a death pile.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mel. I've no idea.
Life pile. We've renamed it life pile.
Yeah, it's our life
pile. But I don't know, like I've kind of got this mentality that a death pile is just wasted kind of money. But at the moment I do have a death pile, and I'm finding it quite overwhelming to have so many clothes sitting here waiting to list. Whereas before, when I was just kind of going out sourcing, coming home, photographing, listing, and then going back out sourcing, photographing, listing, I felt like I had more of a routine and I didn't feel as overwhelmed. So I think in the beginning, if you are that type of person that does get a bit overwhelmed with that stuff, you're better off to go out and, buy and then list it, because if it's not listed, it's not selling. And if it's not selling, you're not making any money. So in the beginning, I think you've got to make that money fast so that you can get more money to be able to grow the business.
Yeah. I mean, we get asked a lot because our channel attracts people who are just browsing the web and searching questions, how to make money online or whatever. And we do attract a lot of new people that are new to eBay, as I'm sure your channel does or will do as it grows. And what we tend to say is, don't spend any money. Just go through your house, go through your closet, pull out all the clothes you haven't worn in the last 6 months or year. You're not, if you're not wearing them now and you're unlikely to, just put it on eBay. Go through your shoe collection, your record collection, your whatever it is, DVDs. Go through your shed and your kitchen and get a heap of stuff, and that's your stock to start with. Because you don't actually know if you're going to enjoy the process, if it's something you're going to want to pursue. So you're better off selling your own gear that's cost you nothing. Yeah. Plus you build up your account, you build up your feedback, you learn about all the shipping that we just talked about. make all the newbie mistakes, right, without spending a load of money on stuff. So that would be our.
At the same time, we get to declutter,
and you get to clear out some crap. Yeah.
And there's so many sites. Like, do you have Gumtree over there, or do you call it Craigslist? Or I think the Americans more call it Craigslist, but I think like if you can go to Gumtree, they've got a whole freebie section, and like I've picked up so many books and different things there for free where people just want to clear it out. So they're kind of good opportunities as well to learn on without spending money and make mistakes on, I guess, and also just teach you about different niches and stuff that you maybe hadn't thought about before.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Aid's got a complicated question.
Yeah, I don't know if that we're doing a beginner's chat, Aid. I'm not sure if we should.
The one strategy that you haven't yet incorporated into your business that you feel would simplify your working day.
I think that's a level above what we're talking about today.
I don't think I've got any.
I don't know. We may have to come back to that another day, Aid, I think. We're trying to talk about the basics for beginners. I really don't know. We'll have to have a think about that and address it.
Yeah, that's a tricky one for 6 a.m.
Okay. So what else did I have down?
Yeah. Did you want me to say something?
What did you have?
So basically one of the tips that I had was not when you're first starting out, don't go out and think that you need to buy lots of expensive equipment, because basically when you first start, all you need is your mobile phone, because it pretty much does everything, doesn't it?
These days, yeah.
It's your camera. You can list on the app. You just use natural light. You don't need lighting. It's pretty much everything when you first start out. So don't think that you need to buy a camera or lighting or a photography setup or an expensive computer or any of those things, because all of those things, if you want them, they can come.
Well, when
you first start, all you need is your phone.
I agree. Literally, actually, I think as you grow, you want to naturally improve your pictures, improve X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But going back to what I said before, you don't know if you're going to enjoy it and want to carry on the business. So if you've gone out and bought an expensive label printer, fancy lights, some fancy camera, and then you decide, I really don't enjoy that, I want to go and be a professional dog walker instead or whatever, you spent £1,000 or dollars on equipment that you didn't necessarily need to work out that eBay reselling wasn't for you. And let's be clear, eBay reselling isn't for everybody. Many people try it and they're gone within 6 months because it just didn't float their boat. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't know what your experience on buying equipment was or where you're at in that buying fancy stuff.
I mean, I still don't have a label printer, and like it fascinates so many people because I do actually send a lot of parcels, and people are always like, how do you not have a label printer? And it's like, well, I've just got to prioritize what I'm spending my money on. And at the moment, I'm quite happy to print my labels onto paper.
Well, let's just ask that one anyway.
Yeah. So you still label printer not happening?
No, I still just cut them with scissors and print them. And
to be fair, we were like that for how long have we been doing this? Since 20 odd years. And I bought my Zebra 2 years ago.
Yeah. I still don't have one. I still use natural light for my photographs. And basically I agree. All you need is a phone and a tape measure, which, what does that cost? Next to nothing. And, I think a sticky tape roller, what are they, dispenser? I think a tape dispenser.
Tape gun.
Yeah, I think a tape gun is worthwhile buying from early on.
You sound like us. You like don't want to spend loads of money, but a tape gun, I'll go for a tape gun. It's like
last year, did you say you bought the Zebra?
At least 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, feels like last year.
But that felt like a huge investment because it was like £200 or something. Or 150, maybe £150.
But we still use our phones for taking pictures. You've got lights, but I use natural light in my office. And I've just actually bought my first ring light, but that was more for YouTube. But because I use natural light for all my photos as well. So
But yeah, I think it's just start slow. And I think when you do buy something, invest in something that's good or better quality, maybe, so that you're not wasting money on cheaper items. Like, I don't know. I feel like wait, like you said, wait, make sure you're going to enjoy it, make sure you like it, and then build it up slowly. But as you're building it, buy good stuff, I guess. But don't buy like a cheap label printer that then you're going to have to replace 12 months. Yeah. I did it with YouTube. I bought like a cheap microphone when I first started and it didn't even work. So, you know, like even though it was only like $30, it was a waste of money. I then had to go out and buy the $200 microphone so that, so, you know.
I think you're right. I mean, like I said, the label printer felt like a lot of money at the time, but it was secondhand when I bought it, and it's come from a business and it's probably been used for years and years, but it's built like a tank and it was worth the investment. So absolutely.
I just highlighted a question, but Nick told me off.
I didn't. I said, well, do questions at the end, otherwise we won't get through.
Apparently we're not supposed to be answering questions from the chat just now.
Go on then.
Any reseller asks, do you have things like car boot sales or garage sales in Australia?
Yep. We do have garage sales, mostly in the summer seasons. In the winter, everyone tends to hibernate a bit more because it's cold here. But yeah, we definitely have garage sales, and we do have what I would think is a bit like your car boot sales. Is like, so we have something that's called Trash and Treasure here on a Sunday, and it's basically like one of our shopping centres has a big car park, and you can drive down, take your car, you pay $20 for a spot, and then you just basically can set up a table or lay things out on a blanket and sell whatever you want there. So to me, that sounds like what a car boot sale is, a whole heap of cars gathered in a spot. So yeah, we've probably got 2 locations for those car boot sales where I am each week, and that runs all year. And then we do, people do garage sales in the summer.
Phil was just saying, print your labels landscape, get you on a sheet.
I think the problem is, and this is just me setting a bad routine, is I write down on the bottom what it is. So then when I go into, I don't know, like I print them off one at a time, write down what the item is, and then I sit here and I put them all into like books or shoes or row A to Z, and then row AA to ZZ, and I've kind of got my own system that works for me. It's hard to change.
We all end up in a system, however individual and unique to us it is, and it works, right? So it is hard to change. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. Do you think, but that when you go back to buying all the fancy equipment and stuff, do you think that comes from comparing yourself to other people? Because I think that is a big newbie mistake, is that you compare yourself to someone who's been doing this for a long time. And like you might be going onto Instagram and seeing all these people with light boxes and printer labels and all these fancy things. So as a newbie, you think that you need that, but you actually don't need that. But I feel like a lot of that is comparison, and you're trying to compare yourself, and you think that because other sellers who have been doing it a long time have that you need it.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think people assume that you have to have X, Y, and Z to make this work, and you really don't. And we know people who are still handwriting labels and having, you know, great turnover and doing things without a laser printer and a label printer and fancy lights. And they're absolutely fine. You don't need all of those things. They're just things that make the process more efficient.
Yeah.
In fact, I put down YouTube, Instagram, get inspired by others, but try not to compare.
Yeah, I think comparison is a big thing.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be somebody doing it much better than you, much better than me and us. Yep. And that can only drag you down unless you can just use it as inspiration.
Not necessarily better, but you might perceive it to be better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think people have those different business models. Like I feel like my business model is more towards a higher volume. So I just want to turn things over faster. But somebody could have half the amount of parcels as me in their Instagram photo, but theirs could be worth more than me. Mine could be all much lower end items, but it looks like I'm doing twice as well, when in reality I'm not really. So I think this is where the comparison comes into it. Don't compare yourself to others, because I think that just holds you back.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just going to read out a couple quickly. I know we are going to skirt past most of the chat because we're going to try and get through the points we've had.
It's all right for him to read them out, but if I get told off.
But we're going to do questions towards the end. Pink Harpy says, I found reselling hard work, and it is. I don't think we should, sugarcoat it. It's a hard business. It's a lot of work. I'm selling off a lot of my items cheap and opened a new personal account to sell my own declutter. I'm going back to concentrating on my Etsy shop. Exactly. And if that's what works for you, going back to the YouTube and Instagram thing, I think some people, particularly newbies, can watch and absorb it all and think, I need to do it like this. I need to do it like that. I need to live up to this. And you don't. You need to take some advice, try things and work out what works for you. And if that's Etsy, fine. Etsy doesn't work for me. You dabble in it. And
we say this all the time, that people watch us or watch other YouTubers or follow people on Instagram and think, I have to be like that to be successful. And there's not one formula. There's not one size fits all. We're all different. We all have different needs. We all have different lifestyles. Not one thing suits everybody. And that's what's really good about reselling, is that you can adapt it to suit your own lifestyle, to suit your own financial needs, to suit your own life, really. And you've just got to play with different ideas. Don't be afraid to diversify, and just work out what works for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Well put. Thank you, Buccaneer Beth. You have inspired me to start selling on eBay. Whether that was us or Mel, I don't know. But either way, fantastic.
I would say you.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Okay. Oh, is Rod in? Yeah, Rod's in. Hey, Rod.
Rod.
Good to see you.
Hey, Rod.
Yeah, so we'll take questions towards the end. Did you have any other thoughts, Mel, that you wanted to share that you would give it as advice to somebody wanting to try this?
I think inventory research is another good thing in the beginning, because I think a lot of the time as new resellers, we pay too much for an item, and then when we sell it, we're frustrated and we feel like we haven't made enough money on it, or that was a waste. But I think you have to sometimes look at those things as a learning journey, and you have to make those mistakes in the beginning. And sometimes I still make mistakes now. I still pay too much for an item that doesn't sell for as much as I think it's going to. But I think it's just not being too hard on yourself, and learning as you go, and realizing that this is actually a business and you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes you're going to overpay for things. But if you can do some inventory research and look at the sold comps when you're learning, because also you might sit there and go, oh, I'm going to sell Ralph Lauren top. That's such a good brand. I know that I'm going to buy that and I'm going to pay up because I know that's going to sell really well for me. But it also might be an absolutely flooded market, and you're not going to actually. You might have paid up for it in the charity shop, and then you won't even be able to sell it for as much as you thought, because it's a saturated market.
Yeah,
and also things come in and out of trend, and for instance, Ralph Lauren isn't necessarily on trend at the moment. So you might think, well, that's a really expensive designer brand and I'll pick that up. But it's not necessarily something that people are wanting right now. Well, I just want to literally say that I wrote down, learn from mistakes.
Learn from mistakes. And accept and know if people watching this are thinking, I'm still on the fence, am I going to give reselling a go? I don't know, I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. I mess it up. Andrea messes up. I dare say Mel messes it up. We all make mistakes. And the point is, and I think what you were both getting at was, see a mistake as a learning process. And that's what you get out of making a mistake, is that unless you're really daft, you don't make that mistake again, right? So you've paid to learn something. And when we mess it up, it's frustrating.
We still do it. We still take a punt on things. You get it home and then realise, oh, actually, that wasn't really You know, we're not going to sell that for much, or, you know, it goes back to another boot sale or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I was saying, like, buying clothes at boot sales when you're out in the sunshine, they look great, and then you bring them home, realize, oh, it's got a massive great stain on it, or you know, make those mistakes all the time.
And going back to what you were saying, Mel, about researching, I think in the early days, if you're going to start going out to buy something to make profit on, don't be afraid to get your phone out when you're about to buy it and look it up. Just do the research there and then. If you're investing £10 or more, definitely do it until you've got that experience that you can feel confident. Most of the time when I'm investing £10 or more, I'll look it up anyway, even if I feel confident. I'm still there on my phone. And I've grown to the point where I don't care who's looking. I'm looking it up on eBay. I really couldn't give a damn if somebody's watching me look it up on eBay. And I think research is key, totally. And when you come to list it as well, don't be afraid to spend as much time as you would actually writing the listing, doing your research, if not more time, to find out exactly what you've got.
That'll help you in the long run as well, because I find when you get a new item and you do have to spend that extra time researching, then you suddenly see other things within that item or niche or whatever, and then you actually learn something else and you go, oh wow, I didn't actually realize that was selling for so much. And research helps you to look for new things when you go out the next time.
Definitely.
Just want to say thank you to Georgina for the super chat. Just for having Mel on.
Sorry, we got engrossed in the chat. Appreciate it, Georgina. Good to see you. Thank you so much for the super chat.
And Rod says, learn from other people's mistakes, save time, and it's cheaper.
Well, a word from the genius, that is Rod there. If you can learn from others' mistakes, that's an even cheaper way of doing it. What else do I have here? Now, this will be an interesting one. Something that I kind of, a little motto, we all have little mottos that keep ringing in our head. One of mine is, don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. And I think we get a lot of messages from people saying, I really want to start, but I don't have the right equipment, or I don't have the right setup, or I don't know. I would say, don't let any of that get into your mind. Just start and list stuff, and you'll find that it sells anyway. I mean, I still don't have a fancy white background. I still use my iPhone to take pictures. I don't do a fancy big description, and my stuff sells, you know. And I think people, particularly when you start out, you think you have to have a perfect listing with everything done, all of the item specifics 100%, the most wonderful keyworded title, etc. You don't get hung up on all the detail. Just give it a go and start, because if you overthink it, you won't start. And if you think everything has to be perfect, it will get in the way of good enough. And most listings, if you browse on eBay, are way below par, and they're selling anyway.
I have trouble.
We're like chalk and cheese with this. Andrea goes for perfection every time. I just get it on.
I'm a bit the same. My descriptions are like 4 lines. Every single description is the same. Like, it's very basic, you know, like it pretty much just says my title is just a copy and paste, and then it's like shipped within 2 days, Australian seller, you know, smoke free, see my other listings. Like, it's so basic. I try and show everything in the photos, my tape measurements in the photos, but I'm the same as you. You just got to, I think it's more about consistency. So rather than making it all perfect, just get it done. It's about getting those listings up, not making them absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I think I would rather have 10 listings that are good enough active than one that's perfect.
Yes,
you're going to sell a lot more that way. But this is a constant battle we have.
I mean, my descriptions aren't as descriptive these days, but I spend a lot of time on my photos and on the item specifics. I'm really particular about item specifics and fill out every single one that I can possibly fill out. And I do include all of my measurements in the description box as well.
I don't. I just lay the tape measure on the clothes, and in the description, the smaller description, I just write, please see photos for description. Please read the full description and see photos for condition. And I just literally have the tape measure in the photo. So I put it along the waist, and I put it from pit to pit, and I put it on the length, and on the inseam, and that's it. So I don't have to rewrite it or anything.
So that's cool. So whilst you're taking the pictures, you just put the tape measure on it and go, okay, done. That's the measurement sorted. That's a great idea.
Yep. And then I don't have to rewrite it or anything.
Thank you so much, RJ, for the super chat. Thank you all. Go Team Kent. Go Team Kent?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a reference to something I didn't know.
I don't know. What have we missed?
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought Kent was like a town in UK.
Well,
I thought maybe that's where you lived.
It's a county.
Kent's a county, not far from here. Yeah,
so maybe RJ's in Kent. I don't know.
Again, I'm aware we're missing lots of questions. We'll try and tackle some at the end.
Oh, there's a super chat from Aid.
Aid, you didn't have to do that. Hi, Aid.
Because I like seeing Mel too.
Oh, Mel has a fan club.
RJ Kent rules. So maybe Georgina and RJ are from Kent.
I think Georgina lives in Kent, doesn't she?
Oh, there we go.
Georgina is known as Miss Kent.
Okay. We love Kent. We like holidaying in Kent.
It's all making sense now.
We rented a house in Kent, didn't we? Yeah, just outside Sandwich. Yeah, love it down there. Sandwich is a town here, by the way, Mel.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a nice place.
Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. Right. Wow. What did you have anything else there? I haven't seen your list.
My only one, I already touched on diversifying, but it was just about, trying different apps as well, because, we obviously eBay is the biggest place that we sell, and we sell the most on eBay, but I also list on Etsy, Depop, and, other apps. I've just made a particular Facebook page ready for when the Facebook Shops launches in the UK. Quite excited.
Facebook Shops is coming.
So just look, because sometimes there'll be other apps or other selling sites that actually suit your product more. So don't just put all of your eggs in one basket. If you
absolutely, and it goes back to social media. It is a positive and a negative at the same time. You hear loads of people saying, I make X amount of money on eBay, but it may just be that what you're selling and what you're doing and the sort of stuff you shift may suit Facebook local collection, or it may suit Etsy or whatever. So just
and
try it all.
We've done Amazon for years. We haven't done so much recently, but we've done Amazon for years as well. And certain things suit Amazon more than they suit eBay. So
I think Depop is the next one that I want to try over here, because I only do eBay and the occasional Facebook marketplace now. But I definitely think I've lost track.
Sorry.
Depop. I'm going to try Depop.
That's it. We've lost Mel. Now, I was watching you when you were live. I think you were on your own live.
Tuesday.
Yeah. And something that you got, a topic you got into is something that I'm very passionate about. And it's about, and I think when you are new to reselling, trying to make profit, buying an item, trying to make profit on it and selling it on, we naturally get obsessed with how much we spent on this item and how much money we have to sell that for to make profit on this item. And you get caught up in that. I think, and it took me a long time, to be fair, it took me a long time to kind of get my head around, don't focus on individual items and how much you're going to make. Focus on a week, even better, focus on a month. If you can, just focus on your whole year. If you lose money on an individual item, it doesn't matter. It's just the money you spent on that is gone when you bought it, right? Yeah. Forget how much you spent on it. Get as much back on it as you can, even if it's breaking even if you lose money on it, get the money back and reinvest it. I think people get so caught up. I can't sell this for less than £20 because that's what I spent on it. No, get rid of it. If it's been sat in your store for 6 months, nobody wants it. Sell it for a tenner. Get rid. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we definitely struggled with that when we had the retail shop.
Yeah.
We had trouble getting rid of stuff, and we ended up with just
too much stock.
Tons of stock.
And it was, a penny dropping moment when we've been in physical retail, high street retail for years. It was like we are stockpiling when we need to be just turning that rubbish stock over, getting the cash back in and reinvesting in stuff we know will sell. And it applies to our business now, which is way, way smaller in scale, but the exact same thing applies. And I heard you talking about a similar sort of thing the other night, and I was like, yes, Mel, yes, that's so right.
Yeah,
I see them all the time. I get a lot of people messaging me on Instagram as well, and they want to know all about how to do a spreadsheet on every individual item. And I always say that that's not how I run it. I do my spreadsheet like monthly or weekly, and it's a matter of money in, money out equals your profit, you know. So I don't see the point in stressing about how much an individual item costs, because sometimes you're going to pay too much for things, and you're not going to, and if you get hung up on that, then it just frustrates you. And I was trying to use the example in my live the other day, like if you go down to your supermarket and something's about to go out of stock, they mark it right down less than what they've paid for it, and they just move it out the door to get something for it. And we have to think the same. We don't want our items just to sit stale in our eBay store, because once they've sat there for a long time, that's exactly what they are. They're stale items. So
exactly.
I'm really into that churn and burn. I mean, there's some items that I think are long tail, but just don't get hung up on, I can't sell it for less than what I've paid for it.
Yeah. And I think the kind of click moment for me was in any given month, for example, if I look at our books, we're in profit for that month. Overall, we've made money. So even if I, set fire to the rest of my stock, I'm still in profit.
Yeah.
So selling an item at a loss is just adding to my profit margin. That's how I got over that hurdle of, but I have to sell this for at least what I paid for it. No, you don't. Because you spent too much and you need to just get it out the door, and whatever you get back on it is going to add to what you have made in profit on everything else that month. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now and we'll leave that to one side.
I think that's a big point, but I think that's a really good point.
Okay. I don't know why people are talking about carbon dioxide. Hi, do you pay taxes? Absolutely, of course. Every business pays taxes.
I can see
yes.
Carla's answering people's questions there.
Hi, Carla. Yes, we pay our taxes, and we have for many, many years. We registered as a business, funnily enough.
What we don't do is we don't have spreadsheets.
No.
We're not organised enough to have spreadsheets.
Well,
when it comes to tax time, we get our receipts out, we add everything up.
And it's a nightmare. But actually, and it was interesting hearing you mention, Mel, in your live about, I think in the early days, it can be helpful for people to track and build a spreadsheet of individual items and track, did I make any money on that after fees and stuff, which can be a useful tool. But in the long term, you don't need to track the individual profit on an item for the tax.
No.
Someone wants to know how much you've sold, what all of your income, what your expenses were running your business. So all your overheads, all of your stock cost, all of your shipping, everything, the difference you pay tax on. He doesn't want to know how much, you sold that mouse for.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, right?
No. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm done with that one.
Yeah. Run out of
I was like that on my life the other day, Nick. I was on a rant about it as well.
It was fascinating watching you get passionate about stuff. Okay, I've got one more. And I think, remember, we're focusing on newbies here. And I remember quite clearly, and maybe you do, Mel, the first time you felt like you got scammed. If you are going to sell on the internet, you will eventually, it's inevitable, come across somebody who is going to rip you off. It's going to happen. And when it does, it will hit you like a truck, and you will feel like, oh, well, I don't want to ever sell on the internet again. Everybody's out to get me, etc. Have you been scammed, Mel? Do you remember that? Or
Yep.
And how did you feel?
It just makes you feel frustrated, and it brings out all this emotion in you. And we have to remember that business, you have to take the emotion out of business, because it is just business. They're not personally trying to scam you as the person. They're just a scammer who's trying to scam the system. it's not like they're trying to scam Nick Hills or Andrea Hills or Mel. You know, they're trying to scam the system to get their free items. So you have to kind of take that emotion out of it and just, it's business. This has happened. I need to just suck it up and deal with it. But it definitely does. It does frustrate you, and I see it a lot in the Facebook groups when the new resellers come in and they are like, this person scammed me and rah 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 and how dare they, and you've got to learn to step away from that side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're quite lucky that we have each other, because it still riles me, you know.
Yeah,
I'll come in and I'll have a good old rant, and there might be some swear words, and then I'll reply very politely to this.
Yes.
Yeah. If I get a message on one of my items, I'll go right, and I'll go into Andrea's office at the back, and I'll shout the odds, and then I'll come back in here and reply very civilized, and Andrea will do the other side. But I like the way you applied that they're not trying to scam you, they're trying to play the system. I know that it just annoys me. I think that's a clever way of looking at it. People do that. I mean, when they're trying to scam us or the system, it's just you know, any kind of unfairness or injustice really. But I think that the reason I made a point of focusing on that a little bit is we've had messages from people saying, I really want to sell on eBay, but I'm scared of being scammed. I've heard about this scam and that scam. How do I protect myself? And the point is 99% of buyers are good, honest people. And we forget to focus on that number. We focus on the 1% that may be trying to rip us off and get away with it. Yeah. So if, again, hopefully we're going to reach people that are thinking about having a go at reselling, it is an inevitability if you're going to sell in any volume that you will get scammed. Just know that it's coming, and when it does, go, oh, there it is. Well done. Deal with it. Move on. Yeah. Have a good old rant over there.
Yeah. And I do think that as a seller, I got scammed more in the early days than I do now. And I don't know if that was because of, like, in the early days, I was selling a lot of brand new Nike shoes. And I think that I had a lot more scammers when I was selling those. But I do think there's things you get scammed earlier, I think, because you're new and you've got lower feedback and stuff. So they think that you don't know what you're doing. So I think in the very beginning, as you're starting a business, an eBay business, it's really important to build your feedback level up so you do look like you've got that experience behind you. And I think once you get more feedback, you get less scammers. Right. I don't know. Do you still feel like you get just as many scammers, or do you feel like you get less now than in the beginning?
I'm sure we get more now than in the beginning, because our beginning was a long, long time ago when people weren't aware, perhaps, how to fiddle the system. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I don't know if they do target newbies more, but I would just reiterate, try not to let that put you off if you want to have a go. It will happen. It won't be the end of the world. I think we also need to say about eBay. I mean, obviously, sometimes you have bad experiences on eBay. You have bad customer service, as we had recently. But also, you have to look at the really positives of eBay, because we've had a lot of messages from people saying, oh, that's put me off, listing on eBay, or yes, I've had similar things, so I've stopped selling on eBay altogether. I think you also need to balance that out and realize that there's a lot of good that actually outweighs the bad on eBay. It's a really good platform to sell on, and I think naturally, as human beings, we remember the times we got stitched up. That's what it comes down to. I think you really need to look at the positives of everything. And
yes, I feel the same when it comes to fees, because I noticed that a lot of new people really whinge about the fees. Like, oh, I wanted to sell this on eBay, but I've got to pay this fee and this fee and this fee. And I think you have to change your mindset. So you have to actually look on it that you're selling on somebody else's platform, and for those fees, you are getting a website to list on. You are getting customer service. You're getting a chat there, a phone. You can call up at any time and speak to somebody. You're getting access to 1 million people who can view your items. Yeah. And if you had to go and build your own website and do all that managing of behind the scenes of a website and trying to find a customer base and all that kind of stuff. It would cost you a lot more than what your little eBay fees cost. So
very true.
Yeah.
I
and
agree.
also, if you had a bricks and mortar high street shop, you know, the rent that you're going to pay, the rates that you're going to pay, and all the utilities, everything. It's just,
You're basically paying them to hook you up with the person that wants your whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I've equated it to when we sell at a car boot sale. You may pay £10 or £20 to be there for the day, and you might make £100 or £200. There's your 10%. It's the same in the real world.
Yes.
But you don't have to stand in a cold, wet field to do it on eBay.
Yes. Yes. I just think, I think people get really hung up about the fees and really negative about them. And I think you've got to change your mindset that it's a positive thing and it's part of business. And what you're getting for that 10% is actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so just you've got to incorporate those fees into your cost when you're pricing your item, and then it's not an issue.
I highlighted Neil's comment. Hi, Neil. Good to see you. Same theory applies to sourcing. Sometimes you'll get stuff dirt cheap. Sometimes you'll pay a bit over the odds. It balances out in the end. On the whole, you should be making profit. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you run out of notes? I did. I think I've run out of notes. Did you have any others you wanted to bring up, Mel, before we take some questions?
I think that as a beginner as well, a good thing to put it is a thank you note. Thank you notes in with your orders. I think it's I think a lot of people forget that in the very beginning, and it's such a simple thing, whether or not you handwrite it in the beginning or you make one. But I think a little simple a thank you note also goes a long way with helping to build your feedback. And I think building feedback is important as a new seller. Getting that first 100 feedback is hard.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
I always put a little thank you card in with mine.
I think it's getting feedback these days. I think in the earlier days, late 90s, early 2000s with eBay, we definitely got a higher percentage of feedback. People had the time and the presence of mind to do it. These days, buying on the internet, we all do it day in, day out, and nobody cares about leaving feedback. It's even worse on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I don't know what percentage we get as feedback from all the items we sell, but it is tough to get those. So does your note say, if you're happy, please leave feedback, or do you prompt them at all?
I do. I say, please leave me positive feedback. And, I have on my thank you card that I'm just a mum working from home, so I try and make out that I am just a small business that's, doing the best I can. But I think, I don't know. I think a thank you I know that I've got 3 eBay stores and I've got my main store, but the other 2 stores are taking so long to build feedback. And I think that definitely the more feedback you have, the more people still do look at the feedback before they purchase things. And I don't know, I just think trying to get that first 100 is hard. So I think if you're a brand new reseller, you should be focusing on really good customer service to get that feedback. Don't forget the thank you card. Sell things that are going to move fast, because the faster you sell things, the more feedback you'll get again. So
you can also use those accounts to buy supplies for your business and get feedback as a buyer. So that would add to it. Neil says, chuck a pack of Haribo in every parcel.
A lot of people.
We've had that.
Yeah,
we've had
like
that.
on Etsy and places like that. People used to do that.
Yeah. Let's scroll back.
One just above I was going to highlight, actually.
Manc Reseller reckons nobody leaves feedback anymore, 10%ish.
It is a shame, because I agree that I always look at feedback when I'm looking to buy something. Yeah.
Should you include a copy of the order or invoice with the goods? We don't tend to. We do if we requested it, but we don't tend to,
No, I don't either.
Let's see if I can find any questions. Right, if you pop any questions in now, we'll take a look. I'm just scrolling back through. Lots of people are popping in. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. Jason's in.
Yeah, Tom says Amazon fees are a joke.
Amazon fees. Yeah. Well, when I was chatting with Tom last week, I was going to actually close our Amazon and reopen it when we've had a chance to go to auction or get some bulk stuff for Amazon again. But I think I'm just going to keep it ticking over in the meantime. But we've got nothing left at Amazon in the warehouse now.
But we do find sometimes, because we're selling very little, that we end up paying them more than we're making.
There's monthly fees involved, you see, and it's a game of numbers, and our stock
ridiculous.
Fell rapidly, and
I think Neil says positives far outweigh the stupid people.
That was kind of the point we were trying to make earlier about it's really hard not to focus on the negatives. If you just imagine going back to when you started, and all you're hearing or finding on YouTube, for example, is people like me moaning about scammers or bad customer service.
Yeah,
that's 1 in 100, 1 in 200, 300, 400 sales, right? So and most sales go well. Most customers are friendly and honest.
I had something else here as well. I had written down to also remember that it's not a race. Like, the only person that you've got to be better than yourself is like yourself the day before. I feel like people feel like sometimes you just see there's so much competitiveness, like it's a race, like everyone's got to beat each other or something. And I don't know. I just think as a newbie, just take your time and keep it simple.
Yeah, definitely. I think when we had a chat on your channel, I shared something that I tend to try and remind myself of, which is to enjoy the ride, because the whole process, find the joy in sourcing, which is quite easy to do. We all enjoy that, and find the joy in all elements of it and enjoy the ride, because that's what you spend most of your time doing, is faffing about listing stuff, right?
Yep.
You trying to find a question? I sort of struggled to find anything.
I can't see anything in this chat. It just goes too fast.
I don't know if it means anything to you, Mel. TD says, do you use Zik?
Zik?
I've never heard of Zik. I don't know what that is.
So I don't know if it was an Australian thing.
Mr. Blobby, hi. Important point, being concise and clear with your item description is important. Yep, I'd agree with that.
Yep.
Peter's gone all gangster on us.
What? What? Okay, Pete.
What?
I guess it says, I dropped my Amazon selling level, will increase my level again if I have a lot of stock up there for Q4. But it's all like shorthand.
Right, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, Pete. Yeah.
Ian's got a question for you, Mel.
Who is your greatest Yorkshire channel mod? Asking for a friend.
Definitely you, Ian. Definitely you. You're my only Yorkshire friend.
Lewis says, thank you for my partner's dress. She absolutely loved it. I agree. The card you included in the parcel made it feel more personal. Personal touches go a long way. That's cool. Thank you, Lewis. And he left positive feedback. So that's cool.
Hey, more feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the message, Lewis. Appreciate that.
Somebody there has asked, why do sellers have more than one account?
Yeah. And Apple Core did as well there.
Carla's answered.
Okay. Is she?
For several reasons. Some people have one for selling their own stuff and one for reselling. Yeah.
So why you mentioned you had 3. So what's your thinking behind that?
I guess I set up the main store, and then I was kind of getting to the capacity level, I guess, of listings without having to go up to an anchor store, which I really didn't want to do. So I decided to open up a second store, which was just for my books. So my main store is clothes, shoes, and books. And then I've opened up a secondary account, which is just books, which I want to build up more. And then the third store has just got all my random stuff. So it's got DVDs, PlayStation games, plush toys, still got some clothes and some books and kids stuff, and it's just kind of like a random mix. And I think I started up that store because I was sending like DVDs and things like that were untracked, and I was worried about that bad feedback. So I kind of thought if I put everything that needs to be sent untracked onto another store, then it wouldn't affect my main store. But I don't know if in theory that was all very good. I think it's hard to manage 3 stores, and I wish I only had 2, but
right.
yeah.
So you have 3 do they all have shops, the basic size shops then?
Well, the main store is my biggest store, so that has, well, it's a bit low at the moment. I normally sit around that 1,500 mark in the main store, but it's sitting around 1,100, I think, at the moment. And then the bookstore, I want to build that up to at least 1,000. So I don't know where I'm at the moment, maybe 350. And then the other store's got about 300 items as well. So yeah.
You have a much bigger inventory than we run on.
I sit around that 2,000 normally.
Yeah, ours peaks at around 500-600.
Half
the reason is because most of our stock isn't listed. But
we discussed many times about splitting the stock and having 2 shops.
We did, didn't we, for a while?
But we just decided stick it all on one.
Yeah. I think you get more traction that way as well, Bart, because you're more active on your main store. So I think then you get a lot more traction when you're listing consistently more on one store, whereas now I have to spread my listings over 3 stores. I find that that's where it's getting a bit harder. So I don't know, tricky. I'm still not sure if I've got the right decision on that, but that's what I've got it.
Exactly. And another thing, going back to if you do get into reselling, be prepared to learn and change your plans and adapt and go off on tangents, because we regularly do. We change our mind. We do U-turns on what we think is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And adapt. I mean, Chris there says he's got 4 accounts, so that's clearly working for Chris, right? Yeah. We're operating on 1. You've got 3. It's like we're all trying to figure it out, and there is no right, there is no wrong. And I know this comes up in every live stream, but it's true. There's not necessarily a right for us. It's just how we're choosing to do it right now. And So Paul asked what is GSP, and I highlighted it. What is GSP?
It stands for Global Shipping Program. Do you have that on eBay?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So in the UK, we have global shipping programs. So eBay basically dispatch your international orders. So we send it to their global shipping warehouse or whatever you want to call it. And so we only have to pay for the UK postage, and then the buyer pays international postage to eBay, and they dispatch it for us. So they're responsible basically for that parcel once it's left their centre. We're not responsible for it.
Hi, Molly has a question. This is Molly Coppen. My dad and I have just started our eBay in the last few months. Good. Well, hopefully there might have been something in this chat that was useful. And we are doing good. Fantastic. But what items would be best to sell that is practical to package, but also source in this time? Well, sourcing right now for us in the UK is tricky. I would say media. You can still pick up media in bulk on Facebook, Gumtree. People are clearing out collections of CDs and DVDs. Doesn't tend to be much margin in them generally, but there may be some gems in there, and then you can bundle up the rest. So media might work. I don't know. What do you think? I suppose clothes is another good one.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Clothes, shoes, books.
Books, yes. Yeah, you're doing quite well on books. I'm
doing so well on books.
A trolley full of books.
Yeah, I think the thing is, for me, for the last couple of months, I moved house and I lost a little bit of my mojo, and all the clothes, as I've come from moving house, they've been packed up in boxes, so they all need ironing and they're all creased and they just feel like a lot of work. So to try and get me back in the mojo, I've been listing a lot of books because they're so simple and they're just getting me back into routine, I think, whereas the clothes are sitting there, they're making me feel overwhelmed because I know that I need to iron them all and sort them all, and
yeah,
that's a big job.
I watched Mel's live stream with Zahir. Did you see that one?
I haven't seen that yet.
Certain books came up. I was worried it might appear in this stream, but I think we might be safe.
You're safe. Poor Zahir.
Okay. All right, I need to watch that back then.
I'll tell you after. Paul has mentioned fixed price or auction, and that comes up quite a lot actually in questions, and I should have mentioned it. I mean, by choice, we tend to sell 95 to 99% of everything fixed price. We will do our research, decide what we want to get for an item, and list it fixed price. And within that, we will have offers on, we will accept offers, and we will send offers out. So there's that bartering process that happens. But we don't tend to use auction. We did way back in the beginning. All of our stuff was on auction. And that's personal preference. But I've also made some videos that shows, on average, you get more for your money if you set your price, in my opinion. What's your opinion on it, Mel?
We don't really do.
Different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just different in Australia. We don't really do auctions here because we get charged, I think it's about $3 or $3.50 just to list an auction item. So unless you've got like a really high dollar item that you think's going to do well on auction, it's just not worth it. You're better off, you just like, you can't go and list a $20 piece of clothing and then pay a $3.50 auction fee on it. Like, that's just ridiculous. Plus then you've got to pay your listing fee and your shipping fee and your PayPal fee. Like, you'd make nothing.
I mean, I remember
That's crazy.
Rod told me about that ages ago, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, over here, it's cheaper, I think, if you're on a basic account, to do auctions.
Yeah,
and
we get a certain amount of free auctions.
we get loads for free with our shop subscription. It doesn't make any sense why they're doing that in Australia. But anyway, going back to the question, our businesses are based around, we do the research, we set our price, and we barter with the customer based on that. But I experiment now and again with auctions if I want to clear stock or something that I think has got huge demand, and I'm safe to let it kind of meet its point, but it's always a bit of a gamble.
I just don't do very well with them. Either they don't sell or people don't pay for them.
Oh, yeah.
So it just drives me nuts.
That's the other thing. Quickly, Alessandro Di Roberto, what a great name. Question. Hi, Nick, big fan from Italy. If you buy a lot of media blindly, how much should you pay per piece? So I'm talking about DVDs, CDs, VHS. Sorry, 4 questions in one. Simple answer, as cheap as possible, because most media won't have much value. You need to get it dirt cheap if you're going to buy media blind. I mean, just go in hard and don't pay much at all. Sorry if that's not helpful. But yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, Ken is in. Hey, Ken, good to see you. And another Ken. Agree with Mr. Blobby regarding description, but I think the picture has a far greater influence. It has to be spot on.
I do think it's important to have a clear photo.
Right. I think a lot of people buy on their phones. The amount of sales and business that goes through eBay on the app has just risen year on year for ages now. So most people are just looking at the pictures, not even sure they go through and read the description half the time. So yeah, and I've said in a few recent vlogs, it's worth spending 5 or 10 minutes, particularly with toys and games, spreading it all out, making it look nice, right? And telling that story with, I mean, right now I've got a massive train set laid out. The whole thing up.
That's just to play with. You're not even thinking of listing it.
But yeah, I agree. What's the phrase? A picture speaks 1,000 words.
Says 1,000 words.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, let's see if we can find any more questions before we think about wrapping up. How long have we been on?
For
an hour and a bit.
An hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
Nearly.
Okay. Wow, loads of chat. Find something. Yeah. Hi, Lee. GSP is great. About 20% of my items go GSP. That's great. That's higher than ours at the minute. Oh, here's a good thing. Oh, it just jumped just as I found. Hold on. Where did it go? Damn it, it just jumped and I've lost what I was going to read.
Oh, there's a super chat.
Oh, we missed that. Sorry. Bernie's Bootlegs, thank you for the super chat. Block come for hot stuffs on eBay. They're a scammer. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Heard it here first. Oh, I just saw a really good comment and I can't find it. I think it was Georgina. We're saying go into eBay with a positive mindset and an open mind or something like that. And I think that is, it's so true. You have to stay positive because there are elements of it that will get you down and it's not easy.
Yep.
Oh, that was
and you have to just, you know, if you have to refund somebody, just refund them and move on. Like, don't dwell over it. And I would, you know, if somebody says something's faulty, and even if you believe it's not faulty, in the end they're going to win. If they're going to go through the eBay system, they'll end up winning. So you may as well just refund them the money and move on and let it go.
Yeah,
quickly.
Or in the least, just say open a return, which is what we tend to do. We tend to at least make them go through that hurdle. It wasn't Georgina, it was Yorkshire Man. It says, if you're going to sell on eBay, you have to go into it eyes wide open and be positive. Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. And also going back to, I mean, we're on YouTube here. People are watching us. So obviously they're into getting information off YouTube. Take everything with a pinch of salt and realize that what works for us may not work for you. There's so much advice out there, you could drown in it. So just jump in and work it out for yourself, I think is pretty good advice as well. I
think that's really quite a big thing, because I sometimes worry when I do my topics and I'll say, oh, I buy this brand and it sells really well for me, and then someone else goes and buys the brand and they say, oh, that didn't sell for me. And I'm like, well, you know, it comes down to the title and your research and the style, and just because it's a brand doesn't mean it's always going to sell. Like, you still have to run your own comps, and you still have to do your own research. So yes, take the research and listen to what other people are saying, but still do your own research.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You just highlighted that.
Yeah,
one.
Because it's a super chat from Bernie again saying, roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches, yes.
That pretty much sums it all up, doesn't it?
Try not to take it on board. Get it out of your system when you're scammed or you have a return or whatever. And and that took me a long time. It used to really stress me out, I'll be honest. But these days it's just, oh, well, here's another one. And you just go, oh, great. And we've got one going on at the minute. What was that today we had? I can't remember. There was another one today.
Yeah, somebody bought something and it was delivered to them on April the 6th. It was a Mario Kart Wii game. And they've just opened a return saying it's faulty. 44 days later. 44
days later, it does not work at all.
You'd think they'd have worked that out beforehand. So my thought is that, you know, the kids have had it, they've scratched it to bits. It's not working now. But yeah, I mean, luckily, because it's over the 30 days, we have a right to decline it. So I have declined it. They got a bit shirty about that. But, you know, we're waiting to see if they open up a PayPal case.
Yeah.
That could happen.
It's a very good example because, I mean, I literally forgot what it was because I'm not letting it occupy my headspace from earlier. It's like, okay, so that's going on. We'll just deal with it as it happens. But you will get used to it quickly. Paul, a comp is a completed listing. You can go into eBay and refine the search by completed items and sold items, and that gives you an idea of what an item generally goes for. So when we talk about comps, it's completed. Peter says, here's a question for newbies in the chat. What are you looking for from reseller YouTube channels? It's a very good question. And that's for his own research. Peter has a channel. Please go and check it out. I don't know if anybody's answering the question. So talking of channels, I have linked Mel's channel. So what could people expect if they came over and had a look around your channel?
Well, I do like to kind of talk about topics, I guess, and I kind of guess I like to talk about a specific topic than just doing Q&A. So I guess I do want people to come to my channel to learn from me, I guess. How, you know, I'm sharing my own journey. So I don't know. I do hope that people learn from me. I've got a live in a couple of hours and I'm with somebody. We're going to learn about hats and how to sell them and how to shape them and how to wash them and all different types of things. So that's the kind of chat that I like to do where we can all learn together and learn off somebody else.
I will be listening because I've got a very poor looking cap here that needs some attention.
Yep. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy doing the pre-recorded videos. Sometimes I enjoy just doing a daily vlog that's not really about anything, just about my day that never goes to plan as a mum of 4 kids, you know, like it just never runs as smoothly as I think it's going to. And I don't know, I think I just try and share being real, I guess. I try to just be myself and be as open as I can. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't.
Exactly. That's all we can do, isn't it? Be ourselves.
Yeah.
And if people want to stick around, then they do. But please do go and check out Mel's channel. I have put the link below, or just search Back from Burnout and it will come up. Bernie, you've super chatted again. 95% of all eBay questions can be answered with list more or try it and find out what works for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
We could have made this a really short stream.
Yeah, we could have.
Okay. Right. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
We could keep reading the chat for hours. There you go. We've got an endorsement from Pete. Mel's is
Thanks, Peter. I do feel very lucky because the UK community has really embraced me. I feel like they've embraced me. I've made some really good friends from the UK community, and I just feel like the UK community is very down to earth and very similar to me. So yeah, I've made some good friends. I want to come over. I had a dream the other night that I came to the Hitchin meetup with Rod.
Oh, wow, that would be incredible.
Oh yeah, do it.
It was so funny. It was such a good dream. You two were the only two that knew that Rod and I were coming, and then we came into the room, and
can you imagine the face?
Andrew was very excited.
That can't be Mel. That can't. Can you imagine the faces?
Yeah.
That would be brilliant.
Oh,
I love this. Can I quickly read out Chris's comment? I had someone complain about a bird feeder in January. She said the seeds kept falling out. This was when we had all the hurricane winds. Plus, surely you'd just get some bigger seed to put in, or some nuts or something, right? Wow. Wow, is that a super chat? That's at the top.
Yes, indeed. It's from David.
Hi, David. You're far too
you,
kind.
David.
There's no comment to read out.
No.
He's always so kind, David, isn't he?
He's
David,
very, very kind.
yeah,
yes.
I speak to David privately. He's a lovely chap over in Ireland. Hope you're well, David. Okay, well, we'll wrap this one up. We'll let you all get on with your days. I will hopefully join you later for your chat with. No, it's Cernok. Is that right? Is that how you say it?
Cernok, yeah. Cernok. They nickname him Tank, and his real name is Chris, I think. And yeah, he's just a freak about hats. Like, he literally sold 60 hats in 1 week the other day. Like, his knowledge about hats is just insane. So yeah, I think he will be, if anybody wants to learn how to sell hats, come and watch that chat, because he knows what he's talking about. I know nothing about hats. He's going to teach us. So yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Tim was talking about him, wasn't he?
Tim was, yeah. Tim
Yes.
from over the years. Loved him. He was talking about knocking his hat. So we will see you all at Mel's in, so when's that, about an hour and a half away, or?
About 2.5 hours. So some of you might be in bed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. I'll
yeah,
be
I think
Yeah.
you'll be up. You'll be there.
I'll definitely be in
yeah.
bed at that point. But I might watch back.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mel, for being with us. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Very-
No, you're not blocked,
No,
Captain.
not blocked.
Shop. No, we can still see you there. So yeah, we'll wrap this one up here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your questions. I know we struggled to keep up with them. Hopefully we answered a few. Go and check out Mel's channel, and we'll see you again. We'll be back on Sunday. With a live, and we'll be back on Monday for another quiz. So if you're into that, please check that out. Right. Okay. Thanks, Mel. Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.